Okay, so my idea is to make a robotic head using compliant mechanisms. So to start, we can get some inspiration from this project, of which the image is not appearing. That is called InMove. It is a project for an open source 3D printable robotic head, and we can study it to see how it's made and get inspiration on how to build it. So here is an image. Next slide. Okay, so I want to use compliant mechanisms to reduce the number of parts necessary and to simplify the entire design. Also, like this, we won't have to play around with tolerances on bearings and waste valuable time. We will use TPU if we want something that is more flexible, and PTG if we want some springiness in the compliant mechanisms. And so these compliant mechanisms should allow for greater flexibility, and we could also use them, for example, for the lips of the robot, allowing for greater expressivity. Next slide. So for the selection of materials, we will use PLA and PTG, as said before. PTG for most of the structural parts, and TPU for parts that have to be more flexible. And then we will cover the entire robot in fur. We will choose which fur to use depending on which looks best, I guess. Another thing that I wanted to note is how we will join together the 3D parts. Instead of using a glue or another adhesive, we will solder them together with a soldering iron. You will weld them together like this. You will save time by not having to wait for the adhesive to dry, and also the bonding should be stronger. So I have prepared a couple of ideas based on the first. So we have the robotic bear, which would be a friendly character in the shape of a bear with the fur of a bear. We could also do a fox if we believe that its fur looks better. And so this would be slightly different in design. So for example, the mouth would be more evident, and so we would have to spend more time for that. We could do a zebra, which is very similar to a bear. Again, if you see that the fur looks interesting. And the last idea is a Dalmatian dog, which I think looks quite nice. And so this, again, would be a friendly character. So evolutions that we could do in the future to make this design better, if we will have time, is to incorporate an interaction with the user. So we could have, for example, sensors so that the robot can listen what the user is saying, and we could incorporate artificial intelligence to answer some questions that can be asked. And so the penultimate slide. So why should you vote for my proposal? It incorporates compliant mechanisms for simplifying the design. We will use different materials like TPU and PTG, and we will weld 3D parts instead of waiting for adhesives to dry. So thank you for listening. Any questions? No. Okay.